know something's missing.
Hello, Sofian. Good evening. Huh?
Il me semble, Denis, qu'ils sont en retard.
Hello, Raymond, we can all hear you.
I have switched on my mic.
Please switch off your mic.
It's switched.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The meeting will begin in a few minutes. Thank you for your patience. We will be with you shortly. Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and good afternoon from whichever part of the world you are joining us from. My name is Denis Chagnon, member of the board of IPADIS and master of ceremony for the second day of this high-level ministerial meeting on enhancing air transport connectivity and growth in West Africa. The very successful meeting of experts yesterday made it clear that the future success of air transport in West Africa is based on air connectivity, cooperation, and synergies. The experts who deliberated on these topics made a number of recommendations that will be presented today to the honorable ministers for their consideration and concurrence. At this juncture, it is my privilege to invite the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Aviation of Nigeria, Engineer Hassan Musa, to deliver the welcome address. Engineer Musa, the floor is yours.
Hello, Denny. This is Captain Musa, DGNCA. I'll be representing Engineer Hassan Musa. He had to go somewhere on short notice on an emergency meeting, so I'll be representing him for this speech. The President ICAO Council, the past presidents of ICAO Council here present, the President of ECOWAS Commission, the Honorable Ministers here present, the Secretary General of ICAO, the Secretary General of World Tourism Organization, Commissioner for Infrastructure and Energy, African Union Commission, heads of international organizations here present, distinguished industry stakeholders, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am highly honored to welcome on behalf of the government of Federal Republic of Nigeria this eminent gathering to the second year of the virtual high-level ministerial meeting on enhancing air transport connectivity and growth in West Africa. This distinguished gathering will agree with me that aviation is a key enabler to achieving economic growth and development. It provides jobs, generates trade, supports tourism, and contributes to gross domestic product. Despite the impact of the COVID-19, aviation continued to play vital roles to delivery of essential medical and vital air cargo services, repatriation of people, and humanitarian operations. The sector, which has over the years grown more than other means of transportation, is still facing some regulatory barriers, operational constraints, uncertainty, and economic fragmentation that seem to impede efficiency, generate frictions, and hinder air connectivity improvements. Notwithstanding these challenges faced by air transport, the West African region has recorded some commendable successes in this sector, which will provide a good foundation for the implementation and recommendation and decisions of this meeting. Some of these successes include significant improvements in the area of safety and security, development of Air Force infrastructure, as well as compliance with ICAO SAPs and global plans. The performance of states in this region and ICAO safety and security audits attest to these. Furthermore, the liberalization of air transport policy adopted by the region in line with ICAO's long-term vision for international air transport liberalization has resulted in the expansion of aviation businesses and increase in the number of airlines and other aviation service providers. Yesterday, we witnessed a very interesting, fruitful, and insightful deliberations at the experts meeting, which resulted in far-reaching conclusions and recommendations. These outcomes, if approved by this meeting, will provide coordinated solutions and framework to resolving the identified challenges in the area of air connectivity and accelerate the growth and development of air transport in West Africa. It is believed that the successes that will be achieved in the medium and long-term period As a result of these efforts, will be models and examples to be emulated by other regions in Africa. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you again for creating time to be a part of this important meeting. While wishing you all successful deliberations, I would like to thank IPADIS and the Nigerian Organizing Committee for organizing this successful meeting. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much, Captain Nuhu, for your warm welcome to this very important event. I now invite the Commissioner for Infrastructure and Energy of the African Union Commission, Dr. Amani Abu Zaid, to deliver her special remarks. Dr. Abu Zaid, please, the floor is yours. We should be connecting with Dr. Abu Zaid in a few moments. Thank you for your patience. Okay. Our apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Perhaps we will try to get back to Dr. Amani Abu Zaid in a few moments. Perhaps we could call upon the president of the ICAO Council, Mr. Salvatore Sciacchitano, to take the floor. Mr. Sciacchitano, would it be possible to have your presentation? Nice to see you again, Mr. Sciacchitano. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Sure. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody participating in this important event. Honorable ministers, representatives of the African Union Commission, distinguished heads of organizations, secretaries and directors general, ladies and gentlemen, and let me say also dear friends. Before I begin, I wish to take a moment to express my sincere condolences to the government and the people of the United Republic of Tanzania for the passing of President John Magufuli yesterday. And on a more personal note, I also wish to express my sympathy to the ICAO representative of Tanzania, Mr. Rafael Bucango. Despite such somber circumstances, I'm nevertheless grateful to join you today for this important ministerial event on enhancing air transport connectivity and growth in West Africa. I wish to take this opportunity to thank the government of Nigeria and the international partners for aviation, IPADIS, for taking this important initiative at such a critical and challenging point in the history of air transport, when air transport passengers traffic dropped globally by 60% in one single year. Last Friday, the ICAO Council approved the third phase of comprehensive pandemic recommendations and guidelines issued by its Special Aviation Recovery Task Force, called CART, chaired by the representative of Equatorial Guinea, Mr. Stanislao Esono Aguesono. This task force, which comprises experts from states, the aviation industry, And international organizations such as WHO and the UNWTO, and including representatives from the African Union Commission and AFCAC, was quickly established when the pandemic was declared 1 year ago to help harmonize the global air transport response to COVID-19. The CART's latest work establishes new and amended the guidance supporting the creation of public health travel corridors, safe and efficient global vaccine distribution, the facilitation of all cargo services, and standardized COVID-19 testing certificates for secure international use. They also comprise air crew vaccination considerations, safety priorities related to sectorial recovery, and, quite importantly, they encourage national civil aviation and transport officials to advocate more vigorously for a transport public health and economic priorities. Aviation must be an important consideration for every level of government in this challenging economic environment. And ICAO is constantly emphasizing this to states as we help them to align their global and regional response and recovery efforts. I'm therefore pleased to announce that ICAO will convene a high-level conference on COVID-19 this coming October. ICAO's goal with this event will be to foster aviation's resilience and to establish the political commitment to support the industry in post-pandemic recovery. Before the pandemic struck, the air transport market in West Africa was poised to become one of the fastest growing in the world. The market in the whole Africa supported some 7 million jobs and generated over $60 billion each year in gross domestic product, GDP. Moreover, this growth was projected to strongly support the realization of the goals of the African Union Agenda 2063 and the UN's Agenda 2030, supporting increased sustainable development, greater prosperity, and the accelerated integration of the African's economies. ICAO has drawn your state's attention to these benefits in a variety of events and high-level forums over the years. And of course, we have been very closely involved at the international level in driving improved ICAO compliance in African states in line with our major global plans and targets and in the framework of the No Country Left Behind initiative. We have also undertaken important regional and national capacity building initiatives to address both known and emerging challenges to safety, security, and efficiency of civil aviation in Africa. Our continent-wide comprehensive implementation plan for aviation safety in Africa, a very successful initiative known more commonly as the AFI plan, has been assisting African states for many years now. And our AFI-SECFAL has improved the capabilities of our African nations in the aviation security and passenger facilitation domain. These very cooperative initiatives are further complemented by a wide range of regional and national programs, which together have been greatly helping African states as they have sought to modernize and prepare for the future traffic growth now being projected. These preparations in turn, whether in terms of airport and air navigation infrastructure to manage future capacity, new air traffic management technologies, human resource development, or the integration of air and ground transport and modern airports, all play a critical part in West Africa and the global state's pursuit of long-established and very dependable socioeconomic benefits of international air connectivity. Such aviation development efforts are further augmented by our important collaborations with the African Union Commission, AFCAC, and other key governmental and industry stakeholders in support as I said earlier, of the African Union's Agenda 2063, including the single African air transport market, Move Africa, branding African tourism, and the African Continental Free Trade Area. All these examples help to demonstrate how coordination on air transport in Africa has improved tremendously over the years, providing ICAO, its Western African member states, ECOWAS, and other partner organizations with improved opportunities to address common objectives. We have also been highly appreciative of how the foundation for cooperation established by these many activities has helped your states to coordinate and respond so effectively to the pandemic. The framework of standards alleviation and many other steps which ICAO took to help states respond to COVID-19 must be carefully considered, especially as vaccine distribution continues and we begin to consider the safety and security and efficiency priorities of the phased return to normal operations. In this framework, I wish also to recall that regional safety oversight organizations, RSOs, can be very helpful forums from which to consider and organize a restart of operations in the context of common alleviations or restrictions. In this regard, we have noticed how these have promoted a very dynamic level of information sharing, training, and other coordination during the pandemic among the countries now participating in them. As I mentioned earlier, West African states are encouraged to implement the CART guidance and recommendations, and in particular to establish public health corridors based on the mutual recognition of the public health measures through bilateral and multilateral agreements in order to establish connectivity. A further important priority to current and sustainable connectivity is to optimize the air cargo supply chains, which have become so critical to the world over the past 12 months. The accelerated adoption of digital and emerging technologies, harmonized electronic documents and data exchange, and the adoption of multilateral legal instruments to maximize air cargo's role in national and global recoveries are very important air freight considerations today. Honorable ministers, all of us here today recognize that the restoration of air connectivity is critical for the world. And all efforts must be made to this end with the support of ICAO. More importantly, air transport is fundamental to the socio-economic development of West Africa, to the livelihood of its 308 million people, and to Africa as a whole. Implementation of the single African air transport market in line with the Yamoussoukro decision will be essential to reconnecting the continent. Your role, honorable ministers, is pivotal to making air transport a top priority in the political agenda of your states. In this regard, full compliance with ICAO safety and the security standards and recommended practices is one of the most important foundations for the establishment of a sustainable international air connectivity. And I wish to assure you that ICAO will continue to work with African states in the framework of the No Country Left Behind strategy. In concluding now, let me again express my deep appreciation to the Federal Minister of Aviation of Nigeria and to IPADIS for organizing and facilitating this timely conference, to the African Union Commission, to ECOWAS, and to all of West Africa's aviation stakeholders for their continued support. Thank you very much for your attention.
And thank you very much, Mr. Shekitano, for your presence here this morning. It is very, very much appreciated. And thank you for the announcement concerning the conference on COVID-19. I think it will be well attended and well needed at this time. Thank you again. I'm happy to report that we have been able to establish contact now with the Commissioner for Infrastructure and Energy of the African Union Commission, Dr. Amani Abu Zaid. Dr. Abu Zaid, the floor is yours. Thank you. I believe we still have a few technical difficulties. We have a challenging communication challenge this morning. Perhaps we can take just a moment, pause to see what we can do about correcting the situation. Thank you again for your patience. It is very much appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, we again appreciate your patience. We do have a challenging communication situation this morning. We will get back to the good doctor as soon as we can. In the meantime, we will move on with our program. Now, on the program, the president of the ECOWAS Commission, Mr. Jean-Claude Cassibrou, was unfortunately detained and unable to take part this morning. He will be ably represented by Mr. Pate Guié, Commissioner for Infrastructure. Mr. Guié, you have the floor, please.
Ok, merci beaucoup. Monsieur Adi Sirika, ministre de l'Aviation fédérale du Nigeria. Mesdames et messieurs les ministres en charge du secteur des transports aériens en Afrique de l'Ouest. Monsieur le Président du Conseil de l'OACI, Monsieur les représentants des organisations internationales et régionales du transport aérien, OACI, IATA, AFRA, Bagasso, ASECNA et moi. Mesdames et Messieurs les directeurs généraux des autorités de l'aviation civile en Afrique, Monsieur le Président de l'IPATAS, Mesdames et Messieurs les experts, Mesdames et Messieurs, je voudrais, au nom de son Excellence, Monsieur Jean-Claude Cassibrou, président de la Commission de la CEDEAO, et en mon nom propre, vous exprimer mes chaleureuses félicitations ainsi que mes vifs remerciements pour l'organisation de cette importante réunion. Permettez-moi d'abord de rendre un hommage appuyé à son Excellence Muhammadu Buhari, président de la République fédérale du Nigeria, pour ses efforts inlassables en vue du développement économique et social de son pays, mais aussi et surtout pour la consolidation et l'approfondissement du processus d'intégration régionale, base de tout développement. Mes remerciements vont également au sénateur Adi Sirika, ministre de l'Aviation du Nigeria, pour ses constants efforts en vue du développement du secteur du transport aérien dans la région, mais surtout pour son leadership remarquable dans l'élaboration et la mise en œuvre des directives au niveau de la CEDEAO en vue de la relance des activités dans le secteur du transport aérien suite à la COVID-19. La commission de la CEDEAO vous adresse ses sincères félicitations pour l'organisation en rapport avec l'ONG IPADAS de la présente réunion des ministres en charge du transport aérien sur le thème connectivité et croissance du transport aérien en Afrique de l'Ouest. Mesdames et messieurs les ministres, honorables invités, mesdames et messieurs, il est connu de tous que le transport aérien peut constituer un levier important pour la croissance et le développement économique en Afrique de l'Ouest. Cependant, force est de constater que ce secteur est confronté à un ensemble de contraintes dont le coût élevé des tarifs et l'insuffisance des liaisons aériennes entre les États, la dégradation des infrastructures aéroportuaires, les insuffisances dans l'assistance à la navigation aérienne, la prolifération des compagnies aériennes exploitant des aéronefs mal entretenus et la rareté de ressources financières. Afin d'impulser une dynamique à ce secteur si important, de nombreuses réformes ont été menées au cours des dernières années et ont permis une amélioration sensible des opérations des compagnies aériennes, notamment pour se conformer aux normes de l'OACI, la mise en place d'autorités autonomes de l'aviation civile et la mise en concession de la plupart de nos aéroports. En dépit de ces résultats si importants, des efforts restent à mettre en œuvre afin d'assurer une meilleure connectivité et un développement durable de l'industrie du transport aérien en Afrique de l'Ouest. C'est à ce prix, et à ce prix seulement, que le transport aérien pourra jouer efficacement son rôle de catalyseur dans le développement économique et l'approfondissement de l'intégration régionale. Le thème de votre conférence s'inscrit dans ce cadre et entre dans les orientations de la commission de la CEDEAO. La commission de la CEDEAO, conformément à son traité révisé, soutient toutes les initiatives régionales visant à améliorer le transport aérien dans une optique de connectivité des économies de notre sous-région. À ce titre, depuis de nombreuses années, la CEDEAO travaille avec l'ensemble des parties prenantes au transport aérien, les États membres, les compagnies aériennes, le secteur privé pour améliorer le transport aérien dans la sous-région. La plupart d'entre vous se souviendront de l'adoption par le chef d'État de la CEDEAO en février 2012 de 9 actes additionnels de transport relatifs aux compensations pour refus d'embarquement, aux conditions d'accès au marché du transport aérien, à la responsabilité du transport aérien en cas d'accident, à la sûreté dans l'aviation civile, dans l'objectif d'assurer la mise en œuvre de la décision de Yamoussoukro dans le cadre du transport aérien en Afrique. En outre, la commission de la CEDEAO a travaillé avec l'ensemble des partenaires pour la mise en œuvre d'un projet d'appui au transport aérien en Afrique de l'Ouest, en Afrique centrale, sur le financement de la Banque africaine de développement. Ce projet majeur a pour ambition de contribuer à l'amélioration et la sécurité de l'aviation en Afrique et d'offrir des services de navigation aérienne sûrs afin d'appuyer le commerce et l'intégration socio-économique en Afrique de l'Ouest et en Afrique centrale. Ce projet à terme permettra de renforcer les capacités de Bagasso et de l'agent de sécurité de la navigation de l'UEMOA. Ce projet permettra également d'assurer la mise aux normes internationales des principaux aéroports en Afrique centrale et occidentale. Au moins 20 aéroports sont concernés. Il convient aussi de mentionner que la commission de la CEDEAO est en train de finaliser 2 études majeures en vue de la réduction des charges d'exploitation des compagnies aériennes, mais aussi en vue de la création d'un centre de maintenance avion en Afrique de l'Ouest. Il convient aussi de mentionner que la commission de la CEDEAO, par l'intermédiaire de sa banque de développement, la BIDC, a joué un rôle majeur dans le développement et la mise en place de la compagnie aérienne Askai, qui est l'un des fleurons les plus importants de la navigation en Afrique de l'Ouest. À ce jour, tous les membres de la CEDEAO ont adhéré au marché unique du transport aérien en Afrique de l'Ouest, ce qui est la démonstration forte de notre engagement pour faire le transport aérien un levier puissant du développement en Afrique de l'Ouest. En dépit de tous ces efforts si importants, des efforts encore restent à faire. Malheureusement, la COVID a eu un impact négatif dans le secteur, poussant beaucoup de compagnies à l'effondrement. Cette pandémie a posé des défis importants au secteur en termes de demande de transport. Et il faut des mesures urgentes pour redresser la barre et faire du secteur un secteur important pour le développement économique. Nous sommes convaincus que cette présente réunion permettra d'asseoir la réflexion et de faire des propositions qui permettront à tous les acteurs d'avoir des éléments importants pour entrevoir l'avenir avec beaucoup plus d'espoir. À ce jour, avec la vaccination qui a démarré dans l'ensemble des pays, nous avons espoir que le secteur va redémarrer sous peu. Monsieur le ministre, mesdames et messieurs, je voudrais une fois de plus remercier le gouvernement du Nigeria et l'ONG IPAC pour cette heureuse initiative. Je voudrais vous souhaiter de chaleureuses délibérations. Vive la CEDEAO, vive l'intégration économique, facteur de paix et de développement. Je vous remercie.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Guéhier, de votre présence ici ce matin et merci de ce survol des dossiers de l'heure sur lesquels vous vous penchez en ce moment. Votre présence est très appréciée. Merci encore une fois.
Merci, merci.
I think we have now connected again with our good doctor, Dr. Abu Zaid. Are you there this morning? Are you there now?
Denis, merci encore une fois et vraiment mes sincères, mes sincères remerciements pour votre patience. Je m'excuse donc pour ces interruptions technologiques et techniques dont je suis aussi responsable. N'oubliez pas que je suis aussi la commissaire pour la numérisation. Donc, je ferai de mon mieux aussi pour remédier à ce problème ou à cette question ici sur le continent. Je vais donc commencer mon intervention, si vous me le permettez. First and foremost, I would like to thank His Excellency, the Honorable Minister of Nigeria, my brother, Senator Hadi Sirika, and their Excellencies, the representative of, or the head of ECOWAS, the Honorable Ministers here present, but also my dear brother, His Excellency Dr. Aliou, and of course I do recognize the presence and the excellent contribution of His Excellency the President of ECOWAS. And I am really happy that we are also joined by AFCAC, the Secretary General and members of my team. I think if anything, this meeting demonstrates yet again the spirit with which we started a few years ago and the spirit with which we want to continue going forward. Excellencies, we are living a very difficult period, and it's still going on. On the one hand, we are trying to contain a very serious health crisis that the world is going through. And of course, we have to recognize that air transport has been playing a fantastic role, even within this crisis, at least to the humanitarian corridors, transporting the vaccines and the medical equipment and so on and so forth. As much as we are living this crisis, as I said, we are also having a fantastic opportunity. And the way, if I'm allowed to say, the way I see it, it's also an opportunity. Because I think this is, since last year, it's been maybe the first time that we have to look deep, and we look in a constructive manner, and we also look critically to the way this industry is going on in Africa and the way we would like to see it growing in the future. I've said it before, I'll keep saying it again. The crisis started long before COVID. It started by having and keeping companies, airlines, and industry that is not necessarily working, the best we would like it to be in terms of efficiency and effectiveness. Going forward, we have to think and rethink that, but I'll come to that in a minute. The crisis also was or showed the best in us. And we have to remember that, because air transport on this continent wrote a fantastic, a golden really page in its history. We are the only continent that came together as one. We came together under a high-level task force. The African Union is ordered, of course, AFCAC, but each, the REDS, the ICAO, the IATA, the AFRA, of course, and we all came as one, and we formulated one opinion, one voice, one set of guidelines. We engage with our brothers and sisters, even within the organizations, be they ICAO or tourism, because they are linked, the African group, but with the organization at large, and we all have been working together as one under, one agenda, and that is to save the air industry. I think we should, as much as it is a crisis, but we should also pat ourselves on the back and remember that we've done something great, and we want this greatness to continue. So I'm really happy that yet again, we're having this spirit now. It's true that we are talking West Africa, but again, I think it's a demonstration with the Africa we want. And this is the Africa we want. One voice, one agenda, and working together in order to make sure that whatever work, industry, or field we are engaged in, that we are doing the best we could, and our sole and only interest is the well-being of our continent, our people, or the industry. This is one. Two, we are also having a fantastic opportunity in the subject of the free trade area. It was operationalized, went live, if you will, or became true earlier this year, 2021. Now, we should capitalize on this opportunity. All our countries at the highest level, the level of the heads of states, are extremely enthusiastic about this fantastic opportunity, and they are fully committed to this to make the free trade area work. Now, my question to them, and by the way, I even put it again in front of us at the Commission. I'm saying without air transport, no chance for this free trade area to work. It will remain ink on paper, nothing more. However, we are keen to make it work. So we are having also an opportunity in the subject of a major event that is happening on our continent, and we can make it work for us. So again, I would like us to think of ways to make the free trade area work for us, like all of us we're growing, and we are already working for the free trade area to ensure that this connectivity through air transport is happening. The third point, and I very much recall, and it stayed engraved in my mind, something Dr. Ayub said some months ago. He said, when we say restart, but restart into what? This is where we are now. We want to restart as what? Restart as we were, subsidized companies, inefficient, old technologies, in some ways unsafe, or start using the new technologies, restructuring our industry and our companies to make sure, that they are the best we can, getting together. And I heard earlier, the mention of A-Sky, getting together in order to ensure that our skies are owned by us Africans, and not only 20% of them, but that they are owned by Africans. So again, implementing de facto and the single African air transport market. So these are all things that we have to think deep and hard in. But the idea of restarting or continuing or thinking that we can resume as we were before should be completely excluded from our minds, because it is already excluded from, the circumstances make them obsolete. Our governments are under lots of strain. There are competing demands. So the idea of continue being subsidized, I'm sorry, may not fly. Just use the, this is one. Two, digitalization, we thought that this is going to happen. It is happening, and we have actually a new crisis. And the crisis now is that not only people, have to have a PCR, they have to be vaccinated, and I'm sure we all know that this is still a very big challenge on our continent. But also to prove they are vaccinated, they're going to use a digital pass to do that, to which we have to be equipped in our airports. We have to be equipped, and our people have to be equipped, and trained to understand and to use. And we don't have that. We don't have the vaccines. Not all of us have this document, because some countries are still, writing on paper, the vaccination certificate. And I really very much doubt that all our airports are already digitally have the digital infrastructure to deal with these kind of seamless experiences and touchless experiences. Actually, we should have. So I'm not here to maybe only mention the challenges. No, I would like us to think of the path forward, but to think about it critically, to criticize ourselves, to see where the shortcomings are, and try very, very quickly, and I'm saying very quickly, to save our industry. And the only way to save it is to make it technologically smart and to make it economically efficient. Everything else is doable. We have already lots of capacities across the continent. Just look at this virtual room. Look at the Africans, with all due respect to our guests, just look at the Africans in this virtual room to know how much expertise do we have in Africa. Now we need and we must put it in good use, and not just for an airline or a country, but for the continent. And I'm convinced we can do it, and because we must do it. And that's, by the way, the only way for all of us to survive. So either all of us we survive, or all of us, I'm sorry, may have to sink and go into oblivion. I am determined, and I'm sure you are all determined to make it work for Africa, to make it work for the free trade area, to make it work for the connectivity, to make it work for the Africa we want. And with that, I thank you.
Alors, merci beaucoup, Dr. Abou Zeid, et merci de votre patience également. As I was saying, it was a treat to hear you this morning. We're very happy that we could establish the communication to hear your very lucid assessment of the situation and the challenges that we are faced. So again, thank you very much. We will now hear from the Honorable Minister of Aviation of Nigeria, Senator Hadi Sirika, for the official opening of this ministerial meeting. Honorable Minister, you have the floor. Honorable Minister, please, you are muted at the moment. Your mic is not on. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, MC. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, even though the protocol has been well established by previous speakers, permit me and indulge me to recognize the President of ICAO Council, our friend, Chiketano, whom I haven't seen yet since he became the President of ICAO Council. Nigeria is hailing you and saluting you. Then the past President of ICAO Council here present, the President of ECOWAS Commission, who rained some showers of commendation for my person and my team this afternoon. Thank you very much. The Honorable Ministers here present, the Secretary General of ICAO Council, my friend Pang Liu, the Secretary General of United Nations WTO, of course, my friend, the Commissioner for Infrastructure and Energy of the African Union Commission, never tiring, Dr. Amani, heads of international organizations here present, distinguished industry stakeholders on whose behalf we are all here, gentlemen of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I want to express at the onset my gratitude and warm greetings from President Muhammadu Buhari, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and all the good people of Nigeria, to you all for attending this historic meeting. I am so delighted with the number of high-level personalities that have joined us today from all over the world. Your presence here resonates the principles of ICAO No Country Left Behind initiative. It is therefore reassuring that with this overwhelming support, West Africa and indeed Africa will not be left behind. Ladies and gentlemen, Nigeria's determination to host this high-level ministerial meeting is born out of the desire to find a lasting solution to the challenges of this sector in our sub-region, especially at a time when the industry is unprecedentedly being impacted by COVID-19 pandemic, resulting in depressed travel demands and disruptions of businesses globally. Ladies and gentlemen, it is settled that air connectivity is an asset which improves the global competitiveness of cities, states, and regions. According to ICAO, air connectivity is the ability of a network to move passengers, cargo, and mail seamlessly with minimum transit points, thereby making the trip as short as possible with optimal user satisfaction at the minimum price possible with great efficiency. This is why the focus of this meeting is not only relevant, but significant to the West African sub-region, or to optimizing its commitment to the African Continental Free Trade Areas, the Yamoussoukro Decision, YD, and the Single African Air Transport Market, SATEM. As the benefits of these various initiatives would improve trade, tourism, and economic development of the sub-region and increase connectivity. Nigeria is currently planning a sensitization workshop on SATEM to enhance air connectivity within the AFCFTA framework. The ingredients to facilitate the enhancement of air connectivity also exist in this region, especially with the ECOWAS protocol on free movement of people among member states and the solemn commitment of states in the region to SATEM. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in hosting this meeting, Nigeria has again shown that resolving air transport challenges are best achieved through collaboration among states and aviation stakeholders. Such collaborations have immensely contributed to the promotion of safety in our sub-region through comprehensive regional implementation plan for aviation safety in Africa, the AFI plan, and the Banjul Accord Group Aviation Safety Oversight Organization, the Bagazu, in Abuja, which is hosted and substantially funded by us in Nigeria. It is also noteworthy to mention that Nigeria has continued to participate in the ICAO PKD and supports ICAO's efforts to provide assistance to other West African states in their program to introduce e-passports. Nigeria will continue to offer support and collaborate with states and development partners on the development of air transport in our sub-region for our collective good. I wish to reiterate that for all our efforts on enhancing air connectivity in the region to achieve its desired objectives, we as states must address the issue of financing and modernization of our aviation infrastructure in line with the historic declaration and framework for plan of action for aviation infrastructure development in Africa. We must attract private investors to support the funding of our infrastructure projects by building a very transparent, stable, and predictable investment climate, as well as include aviation in our national development plans. In concluding this address, I wish to thank all the experts that participated in yesterday's expert meeting. I am certain that the recommendations and conclusion will assist us in taking far-reaching decisions at this meeting. My heartfelt gratitude also goes to the initiator of this meeting, Dr. Bernard Aliyu, the president of IPADIS, and his team for the good job well done. I also would like to thank Captain Musa Nuhu, the Director General of Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, and his team for a well-organized event. Ladies and gentlemen, with this short remark, I have the singular honor and privilege to declare this meeting open. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the meeting. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Honorable Minister Sirika, for officially opening this milestone event. It's a privilege to have you here today, and we look forward to your presence in just a few moments. For the moment, I would like to invite the founder and president of IPADIS, Dr. Olumuyiwa Bernard Aliyu, to provide the context for the gathering here today. Dr. Aliyu, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Dennis Chanyon. Thank you for the excellent work that you're doing. The Honorable Minister of Aviation of Nigeria, Senator Hadi Sirika, Honorable Ministers here present, the President of ICAO Council, Mr. Salvatore Shikitano, the Secretary General of ICAO, Ms. Dr. Fang Liu, the President of the ECOWAS Commission, Mr. Jean-Claude Cassibru, ably represented by the Commissioner for Infrastructure, Mr. Pat Guye, the AU Commissioner for Infrastructure and Energy, and my dear, very dear sister, Dr. Amani Abu Zaid, the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Aviation, Engineer Hassan Musa, distinguished industry leaders and stakeholders, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. COVID-19 pandemic is by far the biggest single challenge to affect international air transport. Prior to COVID-19, one of the challenges to civil aviation growth that was of particular importance to Africa and other developing countries was the lack of uniform aviation development globally. This was especially critical for the landlocked and small island countries for whom air connectivity is an existential requirement for their development and integration into the global economy. In addition, the African aviation industry had to cope with challenges in aviation safety, air navigation efficiency, security, facilitation, infrastructure, technical expertise, low intra-African trade and tourism, air transport liberalization, and connectivity. The vision of IPADIS is for international civil aviation to develop globally in an innovative, sustainable, and socially responsible manner. IPADIS partners with governments, organizations, industry, and civil society stakeholders to ensure that every society enjoy the socio-economic benefits of a safe, secure, efficient, innovative, and environmentally friendly aviation system, and that aviation continues to contribute to world peace, economic prosperity, and social advances everywhere for current and future generations. Promotion of innovation and advances in new technologies for us is a major focus area, as innovation broadens the benefits of aviation to civil society and businesses and helps developing economies leapfrog legacy aviation systems and bridge historical technological gaps. I am pleased to see, as an example, how the use of drones is helping states in the African region in the delivery of medicines and vaccines during this pandemic. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate member states of the West African region for all the efforts that you have made in recent years to significantly strengthen aviation safety, security, and facilitation and reduce accident rates. The establishment of regional safety oversight organizations and upgrading of several training institutions to ICAO regional training centers of excellence are very commendable. Furthermore, all the 15 ECOWAS member states have now signed up to the implementation of the single African air transport market, SATN. In this regard, I'm delighted that the No Country Left Behind initiative that I had the honor to establish at ICAO has been very helpful in assisting states in their efforts to upgrade their civil aviation system to global standards. However, the COVID-19 crisis is a major threat capable of reversing all these achievements and stunt the growth of air transport for many years to come. Accordingly, West African governments and industry stakeholders should collaborate to decisively address the COVID-19 challenges and vigorously stimulate the quick recovery of the air transport and tourism sectors. This is immensely beneficial to Africa's economic recovery from the coronavirus pandemic. We at IPADIS are convinced that with a vibrant population of over 380 million people, total land mass of over 5 million square kilometers, and many historical and cultural touristic sites, ECOWAS and its member states have the necessary potentials to turn this region into a leading aviation market and to take full advantage of air transport as a major contributor to trade, tourism, and GDP. What is required is political determination to turn the COVID-19 crisis into opportunity to enhance contribution of civil aviation to Africa's economic growth, social progress, and integration, and overall sustainable development. Yes, we are in a crisis and survival is a priority. However, honorable ministers, let us remember that it is during wartime that plans should be made for the ensuing peacetime. It is noteworthy that the 1944 Chicago Convention, which established ICAO and the current international aviation framework, was adopted during the Second World War. This should inspire governments and industry leaders to reimagine, revitalize, and retool the African aviation system to meet present and future challenges. Yesterday, at the experts meeting, your directors general, along with many aviation tourism public health, and financial experts representing international, regional, industry, and non-governmental organizations, as well as financial and training institutions, deliberated on how to address the historical challenges in the region, overcome the COVID-19 crisis, and implement necessary strategies and synergies for a sustainable and resilient air transport system worthy of the great potentials of this region. The purpose of this meeting and my message this morning is simple, is to request your collaboration and leadership in the effective implementation of the recommendations from your experts. I am personally convinced that working together, you can significantly enhance air transport connectivity and growth in West Africa to the benefit of your citizens, businesses, and societies. The Treaty on African Continental Free Trade Area and the Protocols on Free Movement of People, Goods, and Services, as well as the ECOWAS Cooperation Framework, all serve to provide conducive political and institutional foundation for success. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, IPADIS is grateful for the decision of the Nigerian Ministry of Aviation and the leadership of Senator Hadi Sirika to host this important and timely meeting. We are also grateful to all the participating states and the various organizations and speakers that are here to support this laudable initiative. IPADIS will be available and pleased, as may be required, to continue to collaborate with Nigeria, ECOWAS, and its member states and other partner organizations to ensure effective implementation of your decisions. Thank you, Excellencies.
Thank you very much, Dr. Aviu, for your most insightful and inspiring presentation. It's always a pleasure to listen to you. At this point in the program, it is my pleasure to hand over the proceedings to our moderator for session 1, the Honorable Minister Sirika. Welcome back, Minister. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, MC. Thank you very much indeed. And of course, you'll agree with me that having heard from Dr. Aliyu, the president of IPADIS, who is, of course, the immediate past president of ICAO Council, the job of moderating has been made so very easy after all that insightful statement that he has made. And of course, to save time, I think I would go ahead straight to invite the chairman of the expert meeting, which was held yesterday, to present to us the report or recommendations of the meeting of yesterday. And in this one is the Director General of the NCAA, Captain Musa Nuhu. Captain Musa Nuhu, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I'll be presenting the experts report. The experts meeting of the high-level ministerial meeting on enhancing air transport connectivity and growth in West Africa was held virtually on 17th March 2021. The meeting, led by the Director General of Civil Aviation, brought together high-level government officials and air transport experts from international organizations, industry, non-governmental organizations, private sector stakeholders. The meeting was attended by 325 participants and attendees, in addition to 212 live views on YouTube. The main objectives of the meeting were to reimagine, revitalize, and retool the aviation system in West Africa to meet present and future challenges. The meeting was also held to assess the role and contribution of civil aviation to the region's economic growth, social progress, and integration, as well as the overall sustainable development. The meeting therefore focuses its deliberations and decisions on the following: pre-COVID-19 pandemic challenges to air transport development in the region, challenges and risks that encumber development and implementation of solutions at national levels, current and future impacts of COVID-19 on air connectivity in the region, and strategies and sectoral synergies that are required for air transport growth in West Africa. The outcome of the deliberations, conclusions, and recommendations of the meeting form the basis for development of a draft plan of action. The meeting began with a welcome address by the Director General of Nigerian Civil Aviation, yours truly. This was followed by a keynote address by the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Aviation, Engineer Hassan Musa, who declared the meeting open. Concluding the opening of the meeting, the founder and president of International Partners for Aviation Development, Innovation and Sustainability, IPADIS, Dr. Olumuyiwa Bennett Aliyu, informed the meeting of the objectives of this event. He noted that air transport and tourism sectors in West Africa are facing more challenges when compared to other regions of Northeast and South Africa, and that this makes quick and enduring recovery from the ongoing pandemic relatively more difficult to achieve. The meeting, which was chaired and moderated by yours truly, had presentations and interactive discussions by experts who provided insightful contributions to the various topics. The contributions were both from regional and international perspectives concerning the issues of enhancing air connectivity and growth of air transport, taking cognizance of the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on air transport. The theme and recommendations on each session are: Session 1, Pre-COVID-19 Challenges to Air Transport Development in the Region. This session reviewed the various declarations, policies, and roadmap adopted under the leadership of AFCAC and ICAO as solutions to identify challenges of the aviation industry in Africa generally, and the peculiar challenges specific to West Africa prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. Prior to the presentations and discussions, Mr. Raymond Benjamin, member of IPADI's board and former Secretary General of ICAO, provided insight into the subject matter and set the scene for this session's presentations and discussions. This was followed by presentations from Secretary General of AFCAC, Mr. Tefera Makonem, Tefera, the ICAO Regional Director WACAF, Mr. Prosper Zuaminto. There are also interventions by Mr. Carl Legba, the Director General Civil Aviation Authority of Benin, and Mr. Moses Bayo, Director General Civil Aviation Authority of Sierra Leone. Session 2, Pre-COVID Challenges and Risks that Encumber Development and Implementation of Solutions at National Levels. This session continued the discussions of Session 1, focusing on pre-COVID challenges and risks that encumber developments and implementation of solutions by states. Despite political commitments to addressing these challenges, especially in the areas of aviation safety, security, facilitation, infrastructure development, training, air transport and tourism development, passenger connectivity, and cargo development. Presentations were made by Mr. Simon Aloti, former Director General of Civil Aviation Authority of Ghana, Mr. Abdulli Jami, Director General Civil Aviation Authority of Gambia, Colonel Lata, Director General Civil Aviation Authority of Togo. There was also an intervention by Mr. Magui Marami Ndao, Director General Civil Aviation Authority of Senegal. Based on the presentations, interventions, and discussions made during sessions 1 and 2, the meeting agreed on the following recommendations: that the implementation of various international and continental declarations, decisions, roadmaps, plans of actions, targets, etc., that have been adopted to facilitate air transport development at the national and regional levels should be promoted. Urgent steps should be taken to address the factors that are militating against the national and regional solutions to sustainable development and growth of air transport in the region, including political, institutional, planning, financial, technological, technical expertise, capacity building, manpower, development, infrastructure development, proliferation of taxes, regulatory constraints, among others. And the COVID-19 crisis should be used as an opportunity to reassess the role and revitalize the contribution of civil aviation to economic growth, social progress and integration, and overall sustainable development in West Africa. Session 3, impact and solutions to COVID-19 challenges on air connectivity. This session started with a presentation by Mr. Sherif Atia, member of IPADI's board and former Minister of Aviation of Egypt, who set the scene for other series of presentations, interventions, and deliberations on the impacts and solutions to COVID-19 challenges to air transport globally and to air connectivity in West African region specifically. He stated that COVID-19 has created the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression of 1929. He explained the effects of COVID-19 on employment, government subsidies and policies, health consciousness, digital transformation, as well as domestic, regional, and international alignment on public health protocols. Presentations were made by Dr. Harold Demoran, former Director General, Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, Mr. Mohammed Rahma, Director, Air Transport Bureau, ICAO, Mr. Jeff Poole, Senior Vice President, Advocacy, WTTC, Mr. Abdraman Bathi, Secretary General, African Airlines Association, and Mr. Alu Tunsi, Secretary General, ACI Africa. Mr. Vijay Punsunami, former VP Etihad, Mr. Vladimir Zukop, former Secretary of TIACA, and Ms. Paul Asumukoki, Director General of Civil Aviation Authority of Cameroon, also gave presentations. Based on the presentations, discussions, and conclusions, the meeting agreed on the following: that a process of regular consultation with users and the public on the implementation of passenger facilitation programs generally, on the aviation COVID-19 recovery plans, and the public health protocols applied to air transport should be implemented. National and international public health protocols applied to air transport should be appropriately targeted, fit for the purpose, well publicized, and implemented in a manner that facilitate easy compliance. There should be collaboration to develop and implement harmonized air travel related public health policies and protocols for the West African region. There should be a collaboration to develop and implement a joint approach to ensure the interests of the region, its citizens and operators are not unduly or discriminatorily impacted by air travel policies and protocols implemented by foreign governments and international organizations in the wake of COVID-19. There should be continuous improvement in safety, security, facilitation, passenger health, efficiency, reliability, comfort, affordability, capacity building, and competitiveness of air travel in West Africa. Airlines in the region should digitalize their operations to enhance efficiency, safety, and security of their processes and procedures. States should remove all forms of regulatory impediments and constraints on granting of traffic rights to airlines in the region to promote inter-regional travels. States should put up appropriate regulations in place to support the operation and digitalization of air cargo operations in the region in order to maximize the benefits of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Necessary assistance and support, including financial support, should be given by states and financial institutions for the expeditious recovery of air transport, tourism, and related sectors, with the aim to reimagine, revitalize, and retool the aviation system in West Africa to meet present and future challenges. Section 4. Strategies and sectoral synergies that are required for air transport growth. The presentations, discussions, and deliberations in this session focus on identifying the necessary strategies and sectoral synergies that will facilitate the growth of air transport in the West African region. As in the previous sessions, Dr. Aliyu, founder and president of IPADIS, Dr. Aliyu, the founder and president of IPADIS, set the scene for a wide range and insightful presentation and fruitful discussion and interventions. This was followed by presentations from Captain Edward Boyo, publisher, Aviation and Allied Business Journal, Ms. Philly Debord, Chief SPCP ICAO, Mr. Marco Merens, Chief Air Navigation Bureau Innovation, ICAO, Ms. Mary Alice Elsia Grandcourt, Regional Director, Africa World Tourism Organization, and Ms. Funke Ademi, Regional Head, IATA Africa. Gabriel Musho, Civil Aviation and Tourism Services Section, Secretary ITF, Ms. Boni Dibati, Director of Africa Affairs, Council Africa, Mr. Mohamed Musa, DG Asekna, Mr. Romain Okoto, Chief of Air Transport AFDB, Dr. Charles L. Schullenberger, Lead Air Transport Specialist, World Bank, Dr. Pierre Kotu, President, Aviation Strategies International, Mr. Costas Ayetru, Director General, HIMSS Air Transport Organization, and Lieutenant Colonel Egbert Fields, Director General Guyana CAA, also made presentations. Based on the presentations, interventions, and discussions, the meeting agreed on the following recommendations: that a process for regular intersectoral consultations and collaboration between air transport and other sectors of the economy, such as tourism, trade, finance, public health, immigration, and border control, should be established and implemented. Civil aviation policies, regulatory frameworks, and strategic plans should be developed and reviewed and implemented to promote the growth of air transport in a sustainable, innovative, and socially responsible manner. Short, medium, long-term, and risk-based national and regional strategic plans with clear objectives, measurable targets, milestones, accountabilities, and monitoring mechanisms should be established. Civil aviation master plans should be aligned and integrated with national and regional economic development plans. States and aviation industry operators and service providers should promote and apply innovative technologies, processes, approaches, and thinking to ensure the sustainable development of air transport and related sectors, and to the benefit of users and society. A framework to establish regular engagement with non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations, and other stakeholders should be established in the development and implementation of civil aviation-related policies, plans, and programs in the interest of users of air transport services and overall benefits to the society. An umbrella organization of non-governmental organization and civil society organization in civil aviation and related sectors should be encouraged for a more effective participation at regional and global aviation levels. Necessary support and assistance should be given by states to the industry to safeguard the employment of industry personnel who should be retrained to acquire versatile skills in order to contribute to the ongoing recovery and reposition of the industry in West Africa. Session 5, adoption of conclusions and recommendations. Due to the constraint of time, the report of the expert meeting containing the conclusions and recommendation of the meeting, the draft plan of action and draft communique were shared with the Directors General of Civil Aviation for consideration and inputs. These documents are presented for the consideration of this meeting. Closing the meeting. The meeting ended at 19:20 West and Central African time. After a short speech from the chairman of the meeting, yours truly, and the vote of thanks from Dr. Aliyu, who thanked Nigeria for a well-organized and structured meeting, as well as the participants for their contribution. Honorable Minister, this concludes my report of the experts meeting to the ministerial meeting. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Captain Musa, for that very, very rich report, well captured. And the actual meeting yesterday was the report that is being presented. Then over the next few minutes, we will hear from a number of distinguished guest speakers concerning this report and what they think would be the way forward. At this point, however, I will be asking for the indulgence of honorable ministers and seek their permission to allow the distinguished representative from ICAO to provide her remarks at this time in order for her to attend to pressing matter. She will be followed by short video presentations from two other international organizations whose representatives are also detained elsewhere on urgent business. You will also further indulge me, and if Dennis will agree, to come back right after or right before Dr. Fan Liu to keep moderating this session while I drive towards the presidential palace here in Nigeria to see Mr. President. Unfortunately, I had to do so, but I will be on the meeting and I will take over my seat, which I'm very jealous of, Dennis, as you step in for me. So at this point, let me introduce Dr. Fan Liu, the Secretary General of ICAO. And please, Dr. Fan Liu, you have the floor, my friend.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister of Nigeria, Senator Siriki, the African Union Commissioner, Dr. Abu Zaidi, Honorable Ministers, the President of our ICAO Council, Mr. Shakatanu, and President of the ECOWAS, the President of APADIS, Dr. Aliu, heads of international organizations, Director General, Captain Nahu, other Director Generals with us today, distinguished guests, and colleagues. I would like to begin by welcoming the results of the experts meeting with great enthusiasm. We must recognize the long-term importance of air connectivity in Africa and West Africa in particular, whether to immediate priorities for sectoral and economic recovery from COVID-19 or to the future and sustainable prosperity of Africa. Since I first took office as ICAO Secretary General, it has been a key objective of the organization to help countries appreciate the significance of air transport's socio-economic benefits. We have also directed our resources toward helping states become more effectively ICAO compliant so that the international air routes and connections which foster prosperity and economic growth could be realized more safely, securely, and pervasively. The ICAO Secretariat worked very hard to develop the materials and resources supporting this work and to organize global events to foster the partnerships and the resource allocation, which help to make it such a success. The implementation support has been invaluable in preparing African states to be able to respond more effectively to the pandemic and its serious impacts. Though, of course, nothing could have truly prepared international aviation for what it has had to endure and adapt to this past year. I would therefore like to appreciate here the tremendous efforts and achievements of African civil aviation authorities in terms of their pandemic response and the recovery efforts to date, and for the effective coordination they have achieved through ICAO's regional offices. And also would like to recognize the tremendous efforts and leadership of African Union and AFCAC. I also wish to welcome the emphasis in this report on the systemic obstacles which still remain with respect to our shared objectives for African regional and international connectivity. This includes the political, institutional, financial, technological, infrastructural, social, and human resources challenges this goal presents. Indeed, we still have a long way to go to ensure in reality that no country is left behind. Many of these challenges can and are being addressed by synergies and outcomes being coordinated through and driven by ICAO. But with respect to the full liberalization of air transport in Africa, we must continue to call together for great political will and highest level engagement if we are to effectively address the remaining barriers to Africa's more open skies. The expert reports strong focus on continued close coordination among African states, in addition to improved intersectoral collaboration among public health, tourism and trade, finance, and other partners, is also very directly aligned with ICAO's current priorities at the global level. Its call for concrete risk-based national and regional strategic civil aviation plans furthermore recalls the comprehensive roadmaps for pandemic response and recovery, which ICAO has developed at the global level, in addition to our much longer-standing global plans for safety, security, and air navigation capacity and efficiency. All of these resources should be taken full advantage of by African states to inform and align the related targets and initiatives being set out. Also to be leveraged are the AFI and AFI-SECPAF plans for safety and security, programs which continue to be highly relevant to West African aviation. Even among extreme challenges faced during 2020, overall effective implementation ER average for both aviation safety and security and facilitation for Africa states saw further improvement last year. At the outset of the pandemic, ICAO quickly established a series of groups and platforms to facilitate rapid coordination and international transfer of information and technical assistance. This helped states and industry globally to cooperate more effectively and refine and align their responses, and supported the closer international adherence to the COVID-19 guidance issued by the Aviation Recovery Task Force of the ICAO Council CAP. The new rules, requirements, and recommendations required for pandemic response were by no means simple, whether for those of us in ICAO considering how and why to alleviate various standards to help countries adapt, or for the countries themselves as they confronted such unprecedented circumstances. However, in light of additional information sharing and monitoring resources consolidated ICAO's COVID-19 Response and Recovery Implementation Center, as well as the tailored guidance materials, training tools, and expert support were provided for states in series of COVID-19 implementation package, IPACs, and webinars. Today, over 95% of ICAO member states are now working together more efficiently and effectively to respond to COVID-19, and the real-time information and updates they are sharing on ICAO's platforms are greatly aiding our analysis and forecasting efforts. A last point I wish to underscore from the expert report is its highlighting of how innovation will be so critical to every air transport stakeholders going forward, whether in government or industry. ICAO recognize this very clearly today, and the Secretariat and Council are making the acceleration of effective civil aviation standardization and regulation the highest priority moving forward. New partnerships and groups have already been formalized to add this process, and everyone is committed to ensuring that our own innovations in terms of standardization, regulation, and certification support a more responsive, safe, secure, and sustainable aviation sector moving forward. In concluding these remarks, I wish to take a moment to express how tremendously grateful I've been for the steadist support of African states throughout my past 6 years as ICAO Secretary General. I would also take a moment to recognize and appreciate here the many important contributions of Dr. Liu to African aviation in particular, and most especially his launching of the No Country Left Behind initiative during his tenure as Council President. I lastly wish to acknowledge Director General Nahus and other representatives on ICAO Council many contributions as well. Your countries have shown exceptional resilience to the pandemic situation, and with increased liberalization and innovation, I can expect to see the incredible air transport growth potential in Africa optimized still further for the benefit of your many societies and citizens, and for the unity and prosperity of this remarkable and beautiful continent. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Liu, for your presence here today, and thank you for your excellent contribution to the evolution of international civil aviation over the past 6 years. We very much appreciate it. Thank you. Our next speaker today is Mr. Luis Felipe de Oliveira. He is the Director General of ACI for the region, and I would call upon Mr. de Oliveira to say a few words. We look forward to your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, good morning. And on behalf of ACI World, I'd like to thank you, the Honorable Minister of Aviation, Senator Hadi Srika, and Dr. Aliu for inviting me to participate in today's meeting. It's safe to say that we are feeling the impacts of the very different world. Almost 1 year ago, the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus outbreak a global pandemic. Undoubtedly, our industry will continue to face significant challenges this year again. However, there is a light on the horizon, especially as the vaccine rollouts take effect across the globe. As part of the aviation ecosystem continue to make small steps towards recovery, global consistency remains a key to safe, secure, and health-conscious restart and recovery of our sector. ACI welcomed the update guidance published last week by the ICAO Council Aviation Recovery Task Force, CART. The updated guidance will provide measurable assistance in promoting the harmonization of measures being introduced around the world to facilitate the restart of the air travel, which will allow the aviation to be a key engine driving global and economic recovery. To support the global coordination of measures and underpin the recovery, ACI created the Airport Health Accreditation Program, which is supported by ICAO. Last month, the Airport Health Accreditation Program reached the new record of applicants, around 600 participants around the globe from our network of 2,000 airports, comprising around 70% of the global air traffic. In Africa, to date, we have received 84 applications, 67 contracts signed, and 42 airports have been accredited, and more yet to come. As we gear up for a new normal, airports will continue to face challenges, some of which are local, but many are globally felt, such as capacity and resource constraints, infrastructure development, climate change, and changing nature of the airport business, financial models, and regulatory regimes. The world airports, includes those in the region, need to consider the future of aviation and how to best build a resilient and sustainable industry. Africa has a potential to become a vital contributor on the global economy in the years to come, and aviation has a huge role to play on this development. According with the World Traffic Forecast, despite of this slow recovery, global passenger traffic worldwide is still expected to be double in the next 20 years. Emerging developing economies worldwide, includes those in Africa, will account for more than 69% of the growth in the passengers in the next 20 years. Nigeria, in particular, is the fourth largest market in Africa, and air demand growth potential in West Africa remains high, with the countries like Ghana and Cape Verde forecasting to grow at an analyzed rate above 4% for the next 20 years. Considering the region potential and the growth and possible impediments, it's become more important than ever to foster a climate of innovation. In the spirit of no country left behind, we need to consider solutions for airports big and small, with the different regulatory operations realities, and how we can help everyone to grow. In the end, however, the emergence of more open and less fragmented African sky will be essential to support the continent development. Liberalization and fostering competition across all sectors in air transport is vital to enabling access to the new markets. The growing commitment to the common aviation market has the potential to alleviate existing regulatory constraints, consumer choice, enhance competition across the air transport value chain, and augment the connectivity on the continent. Our training partnership with ICAO continues to grow. We are currently offering 2 designated professions programs. One is the ICAO Airport Management Professional Accreditation Program, AMPAP, and last year we launched the ACI ICAO Airport Safety Professional Designation, ASP, which provides a solid base for gaining and maintaining the airport certification. Furthermore, on ACI Fund for Developed Nations provides scholarships to ACI award programs and will play a key role in supporting the regional development. I know we all share the deep commitment to making Africa a major contributor for the aviation economy and industry, and in your support and leadership are essential for the airport industry success. While ACI is dedicated to advancing the collective interests of the world airports and the communities they serve, I believe that the best way to do this is through the cooperation with our partners. We must take the whole of industry approach to collaboration and ensure that the industry can grow together. Last year has a truly difficult one that many of us wish to forget. Yet we have served as a reminder that for all of us that we are stronger together. Now is our chance to reshape the way we do things, and the need to seize this opportunity to make a difference and create a world that will work for all of us. Thank you very much, and I hope in the near future we are be able to have these meetings face-to-face again, and of course visiting Africa. That is a place of the world that I really pleased to be many times in my life, and I would like to be back again. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Mr. Oliveira. Thank you for your presence here this morning. And yes, we feel the same way. We can't wait until we meet face-to-face in meetings so that we can share experiences in the flesh, if you will. Thank you so much for your presence this morning. We now have the 2 of our first videos. The first one is from the Secretary General of the World Tourism Organization, Mr. Zurab Pololikashvili. And I wonder if the video is ready. We will have it right now. Thank you.
Good morning, Dr. Olomuyawa Bernard Aliou, dear friend, Your Excellency, Senator Hadi Sirika, Your Excellency, Mr. Jean-Claude Brou, Your Excellency, dear President, Mr. Salvador Schiacitano, dear Amani Abu Zaid, I congratulate you again on your re-election. Dear all, dear ministers, dear friends, as you know, the pandemic has hit every part of tourism hard. Across West Africa, just like the rest of the world, planes were grounded almost overnight. This has come at great cost for the economy, for society, and for people, of course. Grounded planes keep tourists at home and families apart. The restart of tourism is critical, and trust is central to this. In the coming months, our organization will launch a new white paper on security in tourism. We wanted to launch it last year in Dakar, in Senegal, but I think this year we will be back. So because of the pandemic, it was impossible to make it. And this will be the result of our excellent partnership with the African Union Development Agency and the West Africa Economic and Monetary Union. Restoring confidence and trust in international travel is at the center of the white paper, of course. UNWTO is ready to help African member states as they open to tourists again and build tourism resilience. Dear African brothers and sisters, tourism success in Africa is part of tourism success everywhere. Millions of people and thousands of businesses depend on it. Responding to the pandemic is key, and countries such as Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana have started mass vaccination programs. And I'm sure that it will help to restart tourism as fast as it will be possible. But countries are moving at different speeds, and relying only on vaccination will be of limited benefits to international tourism. Vaccines are one part of the solution. They must be used alongside or effective testing and tracing, or the creation of public health corridors and enhanced safety measures at every step of travel. Dear all, I have seen how airlines and airports are working hard to keep passengers and workers safe. The aviation sector has an important role to play and to lead other sectors. I'm sure that your high-level meeting will help us share ideas and build a common path forward. I wanted to attend this event, but unfortunately, again, because of the pandemic, it was impossible. My dear friend, Dr. Bernard, thank you for organizing this important meeting, and I congratulate you for your leadership of PADIES. And Your Excellency, Senator Hadi Sirika, thank you for your hosting us virtually today. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to pay my respects to Prime Minister Hamed Bakayoyo. His passing is a great loss, not just for this native Côte d'Ivoire, but for Africa and the international community. I had a chance and honor to meet with him when I had official visiting Côte d'Ivoire, and again, our thoughts are with his family and with all Côte d'Ivoire, where I have a lot of friends. And we honor his legacy by looking to the future and working to build back stronger. Thank you very much. I wish you a productive and fruitful meeting. Count on full support of UNWTO and hope to see you again very soon in Africa. Thank you very much and have a nice day.
Excellent. Our second video message is from Ms. Gloria Guevara. She is President and CEO of the World Travel and Tourism Council. May we have that video, please?
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. My name is Gloria Guevara. I would like to first of all thank my dear friend, former ICAO Council President, Dr. Bernard Aliou, for the invitation. I also want to thank Capitan Musa Nuhu, Director General of Nigeria Civil Aviation, and of course, the Civil Aviation Authorities, Hassan Musa, Permanent Secretary of Federal Ministry of Aviation, Nigeria, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. As you know, travel and tourism contributes to 330 million jobs around the world. These are the figures in 2019. In WTTC, as we represent the private sector, we also do research to quantify the economic impact of travel and tourism. And that's how we know that the contribution in 2019 was 10%, 10.3% of global GDP. Africa is a very important market globally. The contribution for travel and tourism was almost $169 billion total. And a little bit over 24 million jobs depending on our sector. And when we measure total, not only direct, but as well as indirect. So it's not only the bill that you pay to the hotel, but also, for instance, the coffee that is purchased for the breakfast for the hotels. You need to consider the total impact. Unfortunately, COVID has been totally unprecedented, as you know, in terms of crisis. 174 million jobs globally have been impacted, which has been devastating. $4,700 billion has been the loss last year in 2020. And the impact in Africa, according to our estimations, is a little bit north of 12 million jobs impacted, which is, of course, devastating. We need to learn from the past. We need to learn from the past situations. And at WTTC, as I said, we do a lot of research, and we have done a lot of research. That's why learning from how we were able to recover faster from the financial crisis and the lessons learned from 9/11, we believe that there are some things that we should apply and we can apply to the situation today. We were able to travel after SARS, MERS, and Ebola without a vaccine because we were able to identify the people infected. That's why with COVID, it's very important to do testing. Very important, the public and private collaboration, and very important to have the protocols in place so that we don't make the same mistakes as we did in 9/11. We have some challenges. The challenges is how do we make this virus invisible visible? How do we move from a country-wide assessment to an individual assessment? Because countries, they don't get COVID. Individuals, they get COVID. That's why testing is crucial. How do we use the technology? How do we use solutions to remove these blanket quarantines and just put the people infected in quarantines by using technology and testing? We believe there is no one solution that fits all, which is either the vaccination or testing. We need to use all of the above. Vaccination, the rollout that we have seen in the sourcing markets is very important. It's helping, of course, and it's going to allow us to resume international mobility. But we need to continue with testing before departure. That would allow us to avoid exporting the virus, of course, and that would also avoid importing the virus in the poorest nations. So very important to do testing before departure and have a digital certificate so that people can, in an application, show that and just allow the negatives to fly or to travel. The most important thing is to provide certainty and clarity so that we can resume mobility. We have defined some very important principles at WTTC for this mobility, which have to do with international coordination, reinforcing the health and hygiene protocols. How do we make sure that wearing the mask is mandatory? How do we make sure that using especially sanitization products or systems and tools are very important? How do we use rapid load testing to avoid, as I said before, exporting and importing the virus? And how do we have the continuous support from the government? Bottom line, as I say, it's a combination of solutions, and vaccination should not be a requirement to travel because that will discriminate the countries that they don't even have a rollout yet. So it is a combination between a certificate for testing for the ones that have been already vaccinated, a certificate for vaccination plus a certificate for testing for the ones that have not received the vaccination. So that's part of the mobility protocols. We at WTTC, we continue to work with all the countries around the world, more than 150 countries, and we continue to believe in the partnership, public and private partnership, and we believe that we have to learn to coexist with this virus. We're forecasting a strong recovery, and a lot of livelihoods depend on the work that we do together. Thanks again for working with us. Thanks again for inviting me, and thanks again for implementing the protocols in the case of aviation from ICAO. The ICAO guidelines are very important. And in our case, we have also protocols for hospitality, tour operation, and safe travel protocols are very important. Have a successful event, and please count on WTTC for the recovery.
Good, another excellent video. Again, thanking the honorable ministers for their indulgence. It is my privilege now to invite the Minister of Togo, the Honorable Acha Deji, to take the floor. Honorable Minister. Again, we apologize for the slight delay. We'll be back to you in a few minutes. Thank you for your patience.
Mr. Denis Chanel, may I suggest, if we're having technical difficulties with the connection, that the floor be given now to the Minister of Guyana.
Yes, we are then calling upon the minister, the Honorable Minister from Guyana, please.
A very good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you are located. Let me, first of all, thank you for inviting me, in as much as I am a distance away in the Caribbean, to join you, my brothers, at the policy level in Africa in this discussion. Forgive me that I was unable to join from the beginning this morning, and that was because of my attendance at our statutory cabinet meeting, where I had a number of papers to present and to ensure that they proceed to ensure the business of my sector keeps moving. But I have joined and I've been listening to the presentations, and it's been quite informative. In as much as we are part of the Caribbean, the points raised have enlightened me as a minister to help to advance the ideals in the aviation sector and to deal with matters that are arising in the global pandemic era. I would like to greet Your Excellencies, both those who are chairing and responsible for the hosting of the conference. And secondly, I'd like to greet all of the participants, including my colleague ministers from the various nations that are assembled and gathered. Thank you all for considering Guyana to be worthy enough to be invited to participate. My Director General, a veteran in the field, Lieutenant Colonel retired Egbert Fields, have been with you and will continue to be in the conference. I look forward that at the time when travel and some sense of normalcy will be restored, especially with the current rollout worldwide of the vaccination program coming from different angles, that we'll be able to meet physically, exchange ideas, learn from each other, and also to extend the brotherhood, and we seek to develop this sector. Partnerships and development go hand in hand. We learn from each other. It's only a fool that learns from his own mistakes. The wise man learns from the mistakes of others. And when we share experiences, we learn and we are able to avoid. So we either win or we learn as we pursue the ideals in our various countries and our various zones. This conference is coming at an opportune time, and I believe that in as much as it is being conducted virtually, it has its role, its impact, and benefits that will come to all of us. So I sincerely thank you for the invitation to join. I wish you all well. I look forward for the deliberations. And of course, at the conclusion of the conference, the information, documentation that will strengthen all of us in our resolve to make our world safer, to make air travel more a pleasant experience, and as regulators and policymakers that we be more informed in our deliberations as we advance the ideals and goals. So thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to get to know you. Thank you for considering us worthy, and Guyana will continue to play its role in the global family as it relates to aviation and in this sector. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to bring greetings. God's blessings to all of you.
And thank you very much for bridging the oceans and getting to meet with us virtually on this auspicious day. We thank you very much and we wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We will now hear from Mr. Amadou Umaru, Director, Infrastructure and Urban Development of the African Development Bank. Please.
Good afternoon. This is Romain Koto. I'll be sitting on behalf of Mr. Umaru this afternoon. Honorable Minister of Aviation of Nigeria, Senator Hadi Sirika, President of IPADIS, Dr. Aliu, Excellencies, distinguished speakers and participants, all protocols observed. Let me start by conveying the greetings of the African Development Bank Vice President for Infrastructure and Private Sector, who would have liked to be here today and could not make it because of prior commitments. He asked me to transmit his sincere apologies to you all, but expresses the bank's full commitment to rebuilding Africa's aviation industry during these extraordinary times. The impact of COVID-19 on the aviation industry is profound and unprecedented. At stake is not just the survival of any particular airline, airport operator, or ANSP, but whether a safe, efficient, and viable commercial aviation system that will be available to continue to contribute towards the restoration of trade, travel, and indeed the global economy itself. The dominance of airlines in Africa, of international airlines in Africa, and the potential collapse of African airlines mean that air connectivity in certain parts of the continent, including our West African region, here may not be assured, thus affecting economies, trade, and regional integration. Special focus must be placed on Africa's aviation industry as a key enabler to socio-economic development, but more importantly, to the turnaround of other sectors, including trade, business, travel, manufacturing, tourism, and healthcare. The African Development Bank participated in a technical session of this high-level meeting where all aviation stakeholders shared their hands-on experience on the impact of the COVID-19 crisis on their day-to-day work, but also their coping mechanism to mitigate the crisis while maintaining the operations at acceptable levels with a special care for safety, security, and passengers as well as workers' health. Several recommendations also arose from the discussions, including a strong need for an enhanced collaboration across sectors, health, tourism, trade, border control, etc., at national and regional levels, for innovation to restart and build a more resilient aviation industry, for proper planning and inclusion of aviation master plans in national development policies. These recommendations ties in very well with the outcomes of the recent high-level conference organized by the African Development Bank. The compendium of these recommendations is contained in a background paper entitled An Effective Response to COVID-19 Impacts on the Africa's Aviation Sector that will soon be circulated and posted on the bank's website. In response to the pandemic, the African Development Bank and other development partners have extended general budget support to numerous African governments. Although some governments have provided financial support to the aviation sector, this has been comparatively small and insufficient given competing demands from other sectors. Accordingly, it will be critical going forward to both support the sector financially and ensure safety and security of the highest standards. The sustainability of the African aviation industry will largely depend on strategies and actions undertaken by all relevant stakeholders, notably the stimulation of demand and reinforcement of intra-Africa air transport connectivity through the implementation of the SATEM, alongside two other related AU 2063 flagship projects, namely the AFCFTA and the Africa Passport Free Movement of People. In this context, the bank will continue to support the aviation sector by enhancing the cross-sectorial dialogue, by using its convening power to bring together key stakeholders while financing transformative projects on the continent. As you know, the bank is currently undertaking a study aiming at the creation of a leasing platform for African airlines that is expected to significantly ease access to financing for our airlines. The bank is also supporting the implementation of the SATEM through the African Civil Aviation Commission. And beyond the aviation sector, the bank is also supporting the CFTA Secretariat, among many other regional integration projects. The key takeaways of my remarks today are to reiterate the commitment and readiness of the bank to play an active role in restarting and rebuilding the aviation sector in Africa, with special focus on bringing in financing through our wide range of financial instruments that were briefly presented to you during the fourth technical session yesterday. However, adequate preparation to increase the project bankability and the use of proper channels for financing requests are critical to leveraging resources from the bank and other financing institutions. Our aviation team will continue to support the industry in this endeavor. Furthermore, the bank alone, like individual states or organizations, will not solve the issues in silos. It is high time that we as a collective, we collectively pool resources to make aviation greater and integrate our markets. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was another excellent presentation. And we will now, I think this concludes session 1. We are ready, I believe, to go to session 2. And we should be communicating now or connecting with the Civil Aviation Authority. I will call upon them to show up on the screen if possible. Captain Nuhu, welcome back. Nice to see you again. The floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Captain Nuhu?
Yes.
There is some confusion. The president of the African Civil Aviation Commission was slated to speak.
Yes.
I don't see him on the screen. I see the Secretary General. Using the same nameplate.
Yes. The SecGen will be representing the president. Although I'm a vice president of AFCAC, but since I'm here as DG Nigeria, we agreed the SecGen will speak on behalf of the president of AFCAC.
Okay. Is he ready with his speech?
Thank you. Senator Hadi Sirika, Honorable Minister of Aviation of Nigeria, Honorable Ministers here present, Dr. Amani, Commissioner for Infrastructure and Energy of the African Union Commission, President of the ICAO Council, Secretary General of ICAO, representative of development partners and international and regional organizations, Commissioner of Infrastructure of ECOWAS, Dr. Bernard Aliou, founder and president of IPADIS, Director Generals of Civil Aviation, ladies and gentlemen. It is with deep appreciation that I speak at this important high-level meeting on behalf of the President of AFCAC. I wish to thank the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the IPADIS for organizing this meeting. I thank the experts and the secretariat of this conference that have worked tirelessly to produce the report and the plan of action. Honorable ministers here present, the importance of civil aviation in Africa cannot be overemphasized. Aviation in Africa is a driver of socio-economic development and has the potential to open up markets, facilitate trade, link Africa to the rest of the world, and contribute to the socio-economic integration of the continent in accordance to the African Union Agenda 2063. High cost of operations exacerbated by aeronautical high charges and fees have continued to restrain the functions and catalytic importance of civil aviation in the socio-economic development and continental integration. Therefore, there is a compelling need in this region to enhance the economic oversight and compliance with ICAO guidelines and policies on charges and taxation. AFCAC, being the African Union Specialized Agency for Civil Aviation, is delighted to take part in yesterday's discussion and today's as well. There is a need for a concerted effort with the guidance of the African Union Commission to support the industry through the high-level task force composed of all stakeholders and African representatives to ICAO, which developed recommendations for the recovery and resilience of the industry. I appeal to you, dear ministers, to consider the recommendations of the high-level task force in your national and regional aviation plans and on relief measures to the aviation sector. Furthermore, we need to keep the momentum of the SATM in the region, as all member states of ECOWAS declared solemn commitment to the unconditional implementation of the Yamoussoukro decision and are also members of the SATM. Dear Director Generals, let me reiterate my satisfaction with the report of the experts meeting held yesterday, which the Secretariat of AFCAC and I got the opportunity to take part. I wish, on behalf of the AFCAC Bureau and the Secretariat, to welcome the recommendation of this report and the plan of action. Recognizing the importance of this forum and its conclusions and recommendations for the ECOWAS member states, we call upon IPADIS to use the Memorandum of Understanding signed with AFCAC last week and extend this debate to other African economic regions in order to allow African states to consolidate and join efforts for a sustainable recovery of civil aviation in Africa. AFCAC is ready, as usual, to collaborate with ECOWAS and its member states in the implementation of actions, especially those related to the implementation of the WIDI, operationalization of the SATM, to ensure the sustainable development of air transport in Africa. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lessa, on behalf of AFCAC. Thank you for your message. We, I think, now have come to the point where session 2 is just about to begin. And as you can see, we are coordinating somewhat at a distance. I would call upon the Minister Sirica, the Honorable Sirica, to see if he has been able to join us once more. Honorable Minister, are you with us? Perhaps. There we go. Welcome back, Minister. Thank you very much. Welcome back.
Je voulais demander. Il n'y a pas le son.
Your microphone is muted, sir. We cannot hear you.
Yes, thank you very much, Dennis. I think at this point, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I've been listening via my earpiece, but I am not available to continue because His Excellency is needing my attention, and it will be as soon as a few minutes from now or seconds. But to say that you've been doing a great job and to thank honorable ministers and all the high-level people that are here, including Dr. Aliu and the ICAO president and the SecGen, to please kindly proceed with this meeting. I am very, very sorry. I know I'm the host minister. Unfortunately, the call of duty is not allowing me to participate as usual to continue in this discussion. So kindly indulge me some few more minutes to be with my boss, and once it is time to close, I'll come back and say hello to you. But if I can make it early, I will, because I love this seat. I'm jealous of being the moderator and coordinator and the host minister. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming back and sharing this with us. Perhaps I could call now upon Dr. Aliou to take over the proceedings.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, MC, and thank you to the Honorable Minister. We appreciate the challenge of not having face-to-face meeting. This is one of the indicators of the life we're living in. If we are meeting face-to-face, then it's very difficult to pull ministers away from the conferences, I think. But when it's virtual, it's very difficult to say no to your boss when your boss is asking you to come immediately. I appreciate that all your colleagues appreciate the current situation, and they're also juggling the cabinet meetings with this event. But nevertheless, we appreciate everyone's participation. In the no distant future, COVID-19 pandemic will be something of the past, but don't count on it because the effect of COVID-19 will still be with us until everybody is vaccinated, everybody builds the herd immunity, and then we can return to life as usual. And so in the absence of the minister, of course, the Director General of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, Captain Musa, will assist with this session. This session is supposed to be coordinated by Nigeria and IPADIS. And the essence is for us to look to the adoption of the recommendations and conclusions. The adoption of a communique of the ministerial session and regional action plan. We have listened to the report of the meeting yesterday that was delivered by Captain Musa to the ministerial meeting. And from the caliber of the people that participated in that meeting, all the director generals, all the international organizations represented from both the aviation, tourism, and other sectors, as well as the financial training institutions, the academia. I want to believe that the work they have done is solid and is acceptable. For the ministerial meeting, the essence is to adopt a communique as a communication document, but also setting an endorsement of the ministers of what has taken place, as well as a regional plan of action in order to take the discussion that took place yesterday and today forward. So what I will ask is for the Secretariat to please share the screen, put first the communique, the plan of action on the screen, please. Can you give opportunity, Secretariat, for Mr. Adegbesan to share this her screen? So as we look into this document, Mr. Adegbesan, can you please scroll up? I will tell you, so scroll up the page. The plan of action that was drawn yesterday reflects the recommendations that were read by Captain Nuhu Musa for the various sessions of the discussion. The plan of action is structured into 6 paragraphs. You have the importance of air transport to economic growth and development in West Africa, and it states there a number of actions to be taken. to promote the role of air transport as an important tool and catalyst for regional economic growth, social integration, and overall sustainable development of West Africa. The experts believe this is a continuous effort and action needs to be taken by states, and of course, the economic community of West African states that provide the regional cooperation framework. In the discussion, it was clear that AFCAC, IQ, and other regional bodies and IPADIS will be supporting organization. Item 2 is to put in place appropriate policies that will create conducive operating environment for air transport businesses, stimulate traffic, and support sustainable airline operations in the sub-region against states and ECOWAS with the support of AFCAC, ICAO, the regional bodies, and IPADIS, and there is a timeline. Item 3 relates to the direct and indirect contribution of air transport that needs to be assessed. States have to be able to assess what is the direct and indirect contribution of air transport to the national and regional GDP and put in place measures to increase it. It is only when you do this that the society, the government can appreciate the contribution of air transport and accordingly allocate to it the necessary priority that is required. So next page, please. In session 2 is the activities on action, which relates to the pre-COVID-19 challenges and the slow pace of air transport development in the region. One is to promote the implementation of the various declaration decisions that have been made and the commitments made. On the website of this event, there are 13 elements, 31 of such declarations that have been made. They are on the website. Of course, the lead will be ECOWAS as our expectation to promote the implementations of those declarations on behalf of the member states. The member states of ECOWAS and African Union and AFCAC have committed to this declaration, and it is necessary for implementation. Of course, the supporting organizations will be there to support. Number 2 is address factors that militate against national solutions to sustainable development and growth of air transport in the region, including political, institutional, planning, financial, technological, technical expertise. You had this in the presentation by Captain Musa. So it stays with the support of ECOWAS, AFCAC, IPADIS, and the development partners. 3 is to reassess the role and revitalize the contribution of civil aviation in Africa to the economic growth, social progress, and integration of overall sustainable development. Again, we expect ECOWAS and states to lead this with the support of the organizations listed. Can you move to 3? On the impact and solutions to COVID-19 challenges on air connectivity, the activities and actions. First, we believe there is need to implement a process for regular consultation with users and the public on the implementation of passenger facilitation programs generally, and on the aviation COVID-19 recovery plans and the public health protocols applied to air transport. Again, this is supposed to be done by states as they are putting in place all these programs and protocols with the support of ECOWAS, AFCAC, IQ, and IPADIS. 2, this action has to be taken now in 2021. They need to implement targeted fit-for-purpose and well-publicized air transport public health protocols applied in a manner that facilitates easy compliance by travelers. This is for states with the support of ECOWAS, AFCAC, IQ, WHO, Africa, and IPADIS. 3, implement a process for regular consultation with non-governmental and civil society organizations representing the interests of users and the public on the development and implementation of passenger facilitation program. That is for states, ECOWAS, AFCAC, and ICAO. And the non-governmental organizations, including IPADIS, will be supporting in ensuring that this is done. We'll be working with the states and ECOWAS AFCAC on this matter. 4 is to enhance safety, security, facilitation, passenger health, efficiency, reliability, comfort, affordability, and competitiveness of air travel. States have to take action to enhance, continuously work on the safety issues. Of course, ICAO will be there to continue to work with them on the AFI plan and the AFI-SECFA plan, the whole No Country Left Behind initiative, and of course, AFCAC with the RASC, AFI, the AFI-CIS, they have a lot of programs that is in place. We, as IPADIS, we agree we can also support these efforts by promoting those programs. Assist and support the expeditious recovery of the air transport, tourism, trade, and related sectors with the aim to reimagine, revitalize, and retool the aviation system in West Africa to meet present challenges. Again, this for states. Of course, this is something that the AU is already leading the process in this regard. A number of meetings have taken place. AFCAC, ICAO, UNWTO, the African Development Bank has expressed support for this. World Bank yesterday expressed support to the sector. Of course, IPADIS and other development partners will be there to support. Develop and implement harmonized air travel related public health policies and protocols for the West African region. And this is states and ECOWAS, and the AFCAC, ICAO, WHO, Africa, African CDC, and IPADIS. 6 is to develop and implement a joint assessment and reciprocal policy on air travel related public health policies and protocols implemented by third-party governments and organizations. This is for states and ECOWAS. ECOWAS has done some work in this area, and I know that the African Union is having a meeting tomorrow to also discuss some of these issues. So with the support of AFCAC, ICAO, WHO, Africa, the African CDC, and IPADIS. In under 4 is the intersectoral collaboration and synergies between air transport and other sectors. To establish and implement a process for regular intersectoral consultation and collaboration between air transport and other sectors of the economy, such as tourism, trade, finance, public health, immigration, and border control. That's for the states with the support of ECOWAS, AFCAC, ICAO, UNWTO, and perhaps at a point, the World Trade Organization can also be called to support this process because of issues of trade. Develop, review, and implement civil aviation policies, regulatory framework, and strategic plans that promote the growth of air transport in sustainable, innovative, and socially responsible manner. Is for states, ECOWAS, African Development Bank, and IPADIS. Establish short, medium, long-term, and risk-based national and regional strategic plans with clear objectives, measurable targets, milestones, accountability, and monitoring mechanisms. Is for states. ECOWAS, I think there is an omission here. There's African Development Bank, IPADIS, and we'll add ICAO in that regard, and AFCA. Align and integrate civil aviation master plans with their national and regional economic development plans. States have to align this. Advice will be provided, it should be provided by ECOWAS, the African Development Bank, IPADIS, and the other partners. And to implement a framework to enable regular engagement with non-governmental organizations, civil society. This is an action to be taken by states, ECOWAS, AFCAC, and ICAO with the support of IPADIS to involve them in regular engagement in the development and implementation of civil aviation-related policy plans and programs that affect the passengers and the society. And the last point relates to organizing the non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations. This is for IPADIS to take action on this. We'll be working with all the non-governmental organizations, and we will expect support from states, ECOWAS, AFCAC, ICAO, and donor agencies. 5 is to revitalize and reposition the air transport industry in the region. We expect the meeting yesterday, expect the airlines, airports, air navigation service service providers to review and adapt plans, business models, and operations to overcome current challenges and ensure resilience against future risks. We, as mentioned yesterday by the African Development Bank, they'll be ready to support the operators in this regard. Of course, if the requests are made by states, finance ministries, and by the operators themselves, and we expect the global bodies of IATA and ACI to support their members in this aspect. Number 2 is to promote and apply innovative technologies, digitalize processes, approaches, and thinking in the air transport and related sectors. And this is for states supported by all the international organizations, NGOs, operators, and service providers. 3 is to encourage cooperation and partnership among airlines in West Africa by putting in place policies that allows cross-border investments among member states. That's for ECOWAS, AFCAC, AFRA, and ICAO. All forms of regulatory impediments and constraints on granting of traffic rights to airlines in the region to promote intra-regional travels should be removed. With the advent of the SATM, this is very, very important. It is very important to remove all impediments that will enable the operators to operate within the region. This is a decision states have to do in consonance, consistent with the decision they have taken to commit to the solemn declaration as far as SATM implementation is concerned. And the organizations listed will be there to support the states in this regard. 5, appropriate regulations to support the operations and digitalization of air cargo operations in the region in order to maximize the benefits of the AfCFTA, the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement should be put in place. This is for states, of course, ICAO, AFCAC, ECOWAS, and IPADIS, of course, again, under the guidance of the owner of the document, which is the African Union. Support and assistance be given to the industry to safeguard the employment of their personnel, who should be retrained to acquire versatile skills in order to contribute to the ongoing recovery and repositioning of the air transport industry in West Africa. The workers have been unduly affected by this COVID-19, and efforts should be made to give them more versatile skills to enable them to retain employment during downtime. And this is something for states, airlines, airports, the service providers to seriously consider, of course, with the support by the agencies, the AFRA, ACI, IATA Council, and in particular the ITF yesterday were very strong, raising the concern with respect to the workers. And of course, the Association of African Training Organizations to take a very critical look at supporting states and the operators in this regard. Lastly is the activities for follow-up action and monitoring. The experts believe that there is need to establish a monitoring framework to monitor and report on the implementation of this regional plan of action, as well as organize and facilitate the implementation of follow-up activities. These they expect states to do. They will also want to call on the leadership of ECOWAS to champion that. And of course, AFCAC, ICAO, and IPADIS will be ready to support ECOWAS in that regard. To strengthen the capacity of states and ECOWAS Air Transport Department to facilitate development of sectoral and regional plan of action. In order for all these activities to be implemented, the states themselves, the ECOWAS, have to strengthen the air transport department. And of course, AFCAC, ICAO, and IPADIS can support with this item. Continue to support and assist air transport development in West African region. This is a continuous thing. Emphasis and priority should be given to air transport development as a very critical, important for socioeconomic, for social progress, for economic growth, and for sustainable development, and the implementation of the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. This is important for states and the Regional Cooperative Platform of ECOWAS, and every other agency that participated will be ready to support the states and ECOWAS in this regard. And that is the end of the regional plan of action. Accordingly, according to this regional plan of action proposed by the experts, they have submitted to the ministerial meeting a draft communique. Can you put the draft communique, please? And I will request if Captain Musa, representing the Honorable Minister of Aviation of Nigeria, can then take us through the communique, please. Captain Musa.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ali. I will go through the draft communique. We, ministers responsible for air transport from West African states, neighboring Central African countries, ministerial meeting on enhancing air transport connectivity and growth in West Africa on March 18th, 2021, at the kind invitation of the Federal Ministry of Aviation, Nigeria, in cooperation with international partners for aviation development, innovation, and sustainability, IPADIS. We considered many issues affecting air transport and related sectors, the impact and recovery from the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic crisis, as well as strategies and synergies to establish air transport on a path of sustainable and resilient growth in our states and region. Arising from our deliberations, we acknowledge the population of over 380 million people, a landmass of 5,112,903 square kilometers, and many historical and cultural touristic sites within the 15 ECOWAS member states, some of which we are small island and landlocked states. Also acknowledge that an important part of the diaspora is originating from this region. Recognize the importance of air transport as a tool for regional economic growth, social integration, and overall sustainable development in line with the African Union vision for African integration, including travel, tourism, and trade. Affirm our determination to take full advantage of the safe and rapid interconnectivity that air transport offers for intra-regional and international travels for our citizens and businesses. Acknowledge the long-standing pre-COVID-19 challenges and the slow pace of air transport development and connectivity in the region that should have been effectively addressed, which the COVID-19 crisis have further exacerbated. Determined to take urgent steps to address those factors that militate against national and regional solutions to sustainable development and growth of air transport in the region, including political, institutional, financial, technological, technical expertise, capacity building, manpower development, infrastructure development, proliferation of taxes, regulatory constraints, etc. Note that COVID-19 underscored the impact of public and users' confidence on operational and financial viability of air transport, and accordingly, recognize that continuous improvement in safety, security, efficiency, reliability, comfort, affordability, and competitiveness of air travel is critical to the sustainable development and growth of our air transport. Recognize the current COVID-19 crisis further underscores the importance of intersectoral collaboration and synergies between air transport and other sectors of the economy, such as tourism, trade, finance, public health, immigration, and border control, etc. And that opportunities and threats in those areas have significant impact on the strength and growth of air transport and vice versa. Undertake to support the expeditious recovery of air transport, travel, tourism, trade, and other related sectors with the aim to reimagine, revitalize, and retool aviation system in West Africa to meet present and future challenges. Recognize the need for regional collaboration for immediate development and implementation of harmonized air travel related public health policies and protocols, as well as joint action to ensure the interests of the region, its citizens and operators are not unduly discriminatorily impacted by air travel policies and protocols implemented by foreign governments and international organizations in the wake of COVID-19. Appreciate the importance of establishing short, medium, long-term, and risk-based national and strategic civil aviation plans with clear objectives, measurable targets, milestones, accountabilities, and monitoring mechanisms to establish sustainable, innovative, socially responsible, and resilient aviation system, as well as the need to integrate civil aviation plans into national and regional economic development plans. Commit to develop, renew, and implement national and regional and international civil aviation policies, regulatory frameworks, and strategic plans that promote the growth of air transport in a sustainable, innovative, and socially responsible manner. Welcome a more active involvement of non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations, and stakeholders to ensure that international civil aviation policies, plans, and programs consider the interests of users of air transport services and overall benefits to the society. Urge all operators, including airlines, airports, air navigation
l'ensemble des opérateurs, y compris les compagnies aériennes, les aéroports, les prestataires de services,
freight forwarders, ground handling, and catering services company, etc. To review and adapt their plans, business models, operations to address current challenges and future risks, and to implement innovative technologies and solutions to ensure long-term sustainability and resilience of air transport systems in the region. Express appreciation to the Federal Ministry of Aviation, Nigeria, the ECOWAS Commission, and IPADIS for organizing and facilitating this event, and urge their continued support to the implementation of outcomes by state and stakeholders. Thanks, AUC, AFCAC, AFDB, ICAO, World Tourism Organization, World Health Organization, World Bank, and other regional and international industry and civil society organizations for their active participation in the event, and urge their continued support and assistance to air transport development in the West African region. Finally, we appreciate the spirit of openness and cordiality that served during our deliberations in the meeting. The list of state and international organizations that attended and participated in the meeting is attached to this communique. 18th March 2021, high-level ministerial meeting on enhancing connectivity and growth in West Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, represented by the Director General. Dear friends, dear colleagues, unfortunately, I received a message now that the Minister of Togo, His Excellency, has been called by the Prime Minister. So it directed that the Director General of Togo, Colonel Latta, be given the floor to speak on his behalf. Colonel Latta, you have the floor, please. Can you give a microphone to DG of Togo?
OK. Excellence, Monsieur le Président de IPADIS, Excellence, Monsieur le Ministre du Nigeria, Excellence, Monsieur le Ministre, distingués invités. Le ministre aurait bien voulu intervenir lui-même, mais malheureusement, il a été appelé d'urgence par Madame le Premier ministre. Alors, il m'a laissé ce message que je voudrais vous remercier de m'avoir autorisé de présenter. Et voilà, il dit ceci. Je me réjouis de prendre la parole ce jour à l'occasion de cette importante réunion virtuelle de haut niveau sur la connectivité et le développement du transport aérien en Afrique de l'Ouest. Je salue la tenue de cette rencontre à l'initiative du président de l'IPADIS, qui n'est ni autre que l'ancien président de l'OACI, le docteur Bernard Aliou, et de mon homologue ministre des Transports du Nigeria. Je salue également je saisis également cette occasion pour saluer la présence de tous les participants et les honorables ministres. Pour le marché unique du transport aérien MUTA, depuis que le président de la République du Togo est désigné champion par ses pairs le 29 janvier 2018 à Addis, il a organisé au Togo la 4e réunion du groupe de travail ministériel du 25 au 28 mai 2018 et plusieurs rencontres pour le plaidoyer pour l'opérationnalisation du MUTA. J'ai saisi cette occasion pour saluer les actions du président de la BAD qui a financé la CAFAG pour l'opérationnalisation de cette institution et j'invite les autres à le faire. L'objectif est d'amener tous les 54 États à adhérer au MUTA. Il saisit l'occasion pour saluer tous ceux qui sont déjà engagés. Les compagnies, il invite aussi les compagnies aériennes à se mettre ensemble pour le code-sharing et pour les alliances. Mesdames et messieurs, je vous invite au nom du champion à apporter votre appui à cette initiative de l'IPADIS qui est vraiment à saluer et surtout à saluer le leadership du président de l'IPADIS et à adhérer massivement au MUTA et la ZELECAF. Avec l'appui d'une prochaine, non plutôt avec l'espoir de la fin de la prochaine pandémie, avec la découverte du vaccin, il me semble nécessaire de prévoir une nouvelle approche en matière de supervision de la sécurité. Il me charge de vous dire aussi qu'il faudrait harmoniser les tests, les coûts, la validité et la reconnaissance mutuelle des tests pour faciliter le voyage, les voyageurs. Parce que quand quelqu'un voyage, il passe dans tous les états, c'est des tests. Et pour finir, il supporte le communiqué des ministres, il salue le plan d'action et il invite tout le monde à adhérer à cela et à supporter à 100% notre frère qui nous fait honneur, le président IPADIS, le fondateur. Que Dieu bénisse tout le monde. Voilà le message que le ministre m'a chargé de délivrer et je vous remercie de m'avoir permis de délivrer ce message important du champion du Togo. Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, thank you, Colonel Latta. Thank you, Colonel Latta. Thank you to the Honorable Minister for that very strong message. As the discussion was going on, we did receive some comments from some of the organizations that participated IATA, who made a statement that they want to be associated with many of the items in the plan of action. Is the representative of IATA here so that they can make the statement themselves? I did receive a message from IATA with respect to that. We take note of that. We will do the necessary amendment and on the plan of action. It is a good thing that many organizations want to support the region in resolving some of the issues they are faced with. With your permission, Your Excellency, Honorable Minister, if I may ask because all these things we're doing, the Economic Community of West African States is a regional economic community under the African Union. And I would like that we ask Dr. Abu Zaid if she has any comments to the regional, with respect to the regional plan of action and communicate. Dr. Zaid, Abu Zaid. Again, connection. Certainly we're having challenges with connection from multiple locations. It's been a challenge for today. Yesterday, I think it was a little bit better. So may I ask if from among the participating ministers, if anyone has any comment with respect to the communique and the plan of action, please. Please use the raise of hand facility to make comment. Well, Honorable Ministers, I see none. I couldn't see any. I would assume that the documents are pretty straightforward. You've been properly briefed by your Director Generals. Of course, the issue will be in its implementation, and there will be need for follow-up action with ECOWAS to have a process by which this can be effectively implemented. Please, if that is the case, we at 1:05 p.m. in Montreal, we have just 10 minutes allocated for the meeting. I don't know whether the Minister of Nigeria is back to do the closing, but it seems the communique is endorsed and the plan of action is endorsed. Over to you, Captain Musa. Is the Honorable Minister back now?
I am not sure he's around, but I can fill in for him. Okay, I see Asekna is full support. That's excellent. Another major organization in Africa. I would like to first and foremost thank the honorable ministers and the heads of international organizations, regional organizations, dear colleagues, DGs, and members of IKEO Council, and all ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking the time to participate in this very important event for our region. And I'd like to thank everybody for the adoption of the communique. As Dr. Ali said, there'll be follow-up through ECOWAS for the implementation of this communique and the action plan. If you can pardon me just a minute before I read the closing remarks on behalf of the Honorable Minister of Aviation, Senator Hadi Sirika, I just want to take a minute to pay a tribute and thank none other by Dr. Fang Liu, who is the two-time Secretary of ICAO, who will be finishing her second term in a couple of months and at the end of her second term. I worked closely with Dr. Ali over the short 4 years I stayed in, I was in ICAO Council. We did not always see eye to eye, but we agreed and so we always found a way to work together. Dr. Fanlu is a very focused, energetic person who has played a role in strengthening several regional plans for Africa, the AFI plan, the AFI SECFOL, and she always attended the AFI Aviation Week to give her full support. And was under her also the other human resources development plan were done for Africa and many other programs. So I just want to recognize her and thank her very much for all the support and assistance she's given to Africa during her tenure. And we certainly will miss her, the Secretary General, but that doesn't mean out of sight is out of mind. We'll certainly invite her. We need her knowledge and expertise going forward. She has done a lot for Africa. I'm sure she'll always have valuable advice and guidance for us. Thank you very much, Dr. Fanlu. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we conclude.
Sorry, Honorable Minister, I don't know whether Dr. Fanlu wants to say something. Thank you. Dr. Fanlu, are you listening? No, I can see her clicked in. Okay, I'm sure your words of congratulations will be transmitted to her. And if you can permit me, Honorable Minister, before you finalize the meeting, let me speak on behalf of IPADIS, because you will close the meeting and I may not have the opportunity to say what I want to say. I just want to take the opportunity to thank everyone that has been involved in this process, from the Nigerian side, from the IPADIS side, all the organizations that participated for being actively involved and engaged over the past 2 days, and to come to the result that we are. I want to thank the IPADIS team, led by the board members of IPADIS, Mr. Raymond Benjamin, Mr. Sheriff Atia, Mr. Roberto Kobe, Gonzalez, Dennis Janyon, for all the good work, and everybody that worked behind the scene to support this process. This is a volunteer's work, and people have volunteered their time 24/7 to make this work. So thank you to all. And finally, of course, thank you to the Honorable Minister of Aviation Nigeria and the people of the Civil Aviation Authority for hosting this important event. We were delighted to be part of this process, and you can count on us to continue to support you going forward. Thank you very much, everybody. Honorable Minister, now back to you.
Thank you very much, President of IPADIS, Dr. Ali. Also, my thanks goes to the entire IPADIS team, the board members, the secretariat. We do really appreciate and we enjoyed working with you over the last couple of weeks, arranging for this meeting. Also, my special thanks goes to the Honorable Minister of Aviation for accepting to participate in this meeting on behalf of Nigeria. And also, I really like to recognize and thank the team at Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, the people behind this scene who have made all this possible through the sleepless hours and difficult times they had to learn and organize this very successful meeting. Thank you very much, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, before we conclude our meeting today, I would very much like to enlist your support and cooperation in helping us further define the issues and solutions to the future growth of air transport in Western Africa. All of you will soon be receiving by email in a survey that will prompt you to share your thoughts on the way forward to a bright future for the aviation of our region and for the continent. The results of this survey and of the 4 constituents from yesterday's session will be compiled and posted on the event. At this point, I'd like to really thank my sincere gratitude and thanks to all the high-level caliber of personnel that have taken part, the honorable ministers, the head of international organizations, my fellow director generals, my fellow colleagues from ICAO staff, AFDB, African Union Commission, so many others, so many and numerous too many to mention. Please, if I don't mention, they take offense. We're with you in spirit, and I'd like to thank you very much, Dr. Aliu, and we certainly. This is just the end of this high-level meeting, but it's the beginning of the process of implementation. So there's a lot more work, and we're going to continue coordinating with IPADIS and all the regional bodies and international bodies that are indicated they want to be associated with this. So at this point, moment, thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Raymond. Thank you, Denny. Cornelata, thank you. Everybody, much appreciated. Tefera, thank you.
Thank you, our amiable DG.
Thank you, Captain Musa.
Thank you.
Good leaders.
Thank you. Thank you, Musa.
Thank you, Dr. Aliu. Thank you, Captain Wu.
Thank you, Salvatore, Mr. President of ICAO Council, Costas, all of you. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Dr. Aliu, thanks very much.
Thank you, President ICAO, Mr. Salvatore. Much appreciated. Aminu.
Hi, Musa. Abdullah, it was very good. Very big.
Thank you very much. Not easy. Now I can go and sleep.
I'm very happy. Very good.
Thank you. Thank you. How are you?
You're finished now.
Yes.
Send me on my email all the conclusion, okay?
I will send you all the conclusion, and I'll give you the link to get all the documents.
Okay, my brother. Okay.
So how is Algeria doing?
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Not easy, my brother. It's not easy. COVID-19 is killing everybody.
It's very difficult, but we can, maybe together we can go very, very fast. Big challenge.
Inshallah, we'll do well. We'll do fine. How's the family?
Okay, brother. Okay, ask your family also.
They're all fine. They're all good.
Okay.
So, Amin, thank you for flying the flag of IPADIS very high in Algeria. He's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. He's thanking everybody. Sorry, guy, I didn't know my mic was open. Thanking everybody. It's not easy, but much appreciated. All right. Dr. Ali, are we doing maybe like a review meeting sometime over the weekend, I suggest? Okay, he's gone.
Bonsoir, Benjamin Raymond.
Hey, how are you doing, sir? Thank you very much. Much honor to have you, sir, to participate. Really, thank you.
Thank you, Captain Musa. You are the best. You are a good leader. You are a good, very good leader. Thank you.
Correlata, I'm learning from my big brother. I'm learning from you, sir. I got my big brother. I have more experience. So I watch you and learn from you.
Now you are the best. You become the best.
No. I have Mr. Simon Aloti. I have you. I have my big brothers. You know, I have to learn from your experience.
Thank you. Thank you.
Greetings,
Dr. Musa, thank you very much. Good
Uh,
leadership, good moderation, and my good friend Kenelata. How
Hey,
are you?
Alote. Oh,
long
you
time.
You miss me a lot.
Yes, I miss you. I have to come to Rome maybe
Yes.
next week to see you.
Okay, let her inform me. I will take out this position. My big friend.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Captain Musa, congrats, and you did extremely well. Congrats.
Well, I learned from you, watching you on those at the assembly moderating and everything. So I learned a lot
Thank
from
you. Thank you.
You're
It's been a
welcome.
very successful meeting.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I think we
The
need
key
to do
thing
the
is the
follow-up.
implementation. You
Exactly.
know, of the decisions, the communique, and we'll make some progress. Yeah. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. My thanks also for a very successful meeting, and congratulations to everyone. Yes. I hope, thank you, when circumstances permit, that we are all meeting together, not in a video conference. All the best to all of you.
Thank you.
Mes amitiés aux francophones.
Merci, monsieur le maire Benjamin. On se rappelle de bons moments avec vous.
Absolument.
Ouais.
À bientôt.
À bientôt. Merci.
Hope for us all.